All right, so there is a legend, right, that this designer, engineer, scientist had an interview with Steve Wozniak. And Steve Wozniak came in the room and they had this talk, and the interview ended, and Steve Wozniak left, and the guy said, "He's good, but not good enough. We're not gonna hire him." And that was Jerry Lawson. He interviewed Steve Wozniak in 1978, I believe, and found him subpar to what he needed for his project. He worked with Steve Wozniak in a homebrew group with Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and Steve Wozniak built Apple, and Steve Jobs built Apple with them, and then Bill Gates went to Microsoft. And this third guy, Jerry Lawson, built the first cartridge. So the cartridge you had is your Atari, ColecoVision, 5200, Nintendo, Sega Genesis. This African-American engineer basically invented this technology. No one knew his name, no one knew he existed outside Silicon Valley. And so Steve Jobs died last year, and it was a big media buzz about it. And I'm a big fan of Steve Jobs too. But Jerry Lawson was as important to software as Steve Jobs was. And there was no huge boo about it because he didn't own Apple. Now, I don't want to talk about Jerry Lawson in great detail because there's some great articles on the web about him, and I challenge you to go research his life because I would do him an injustice trying to sum up his existence in 5 minutes. But I will say 5 words. He was a scientist, he was an engineer, he was an entrepreneur, he was a designer, he was a genius. And today, we have those same 5 descriptions for everybody in this room. But you have downgraded the words and left their meaning in the past. So those of you who are programmers, you're really engineers, but you think you're programmers. And because you think you're programmers, you have really devalued your job and devalued your position and devalued your importance in the community. Those who are artists are really creatives. You're inventors. You invent worlds, but you downgrade that and only become somebody who paints paintings. Now I say that to compel you because our community needs you now more than any other time in history. The last 10 years have devastated the school system in a very special way. This is the way I'm talking about is, there are no system thinkers left coming out of education outside of the game industry. The only ones who have the ability to solve the problem in the African community are going to be gamers. And if you have thought that your initiative is about creating interface, creating villains, creating heroes, creating only those things that kill and destroy, you have missed your legacy. Jerry Lawson last year something very important that compelled me. He said he spent his first 7 months of his design interviewing educators. And educators is what drove design. And that's how they figured out how to interface with children, so children would interface with games. And now we've ignored that legacy because we want to make things faster, stronger, and deadlier. And so I challenge you today, embrace your legacy. Embrace the legacy of Jerry Lawson and build better things for tomorrow. Thank you for your time.
Yes,
Fantastic. Again, that's Carl Bernardo. Jerry Lawson, please take him up on that challenge. I think that's really important to find out, to understand the history, the impact that Jerry has made on the industry as it stands today. So that's it for our announcements. I want to encourage you guys to stay.